We won't chase signs. We'll become one. The 3-minute coherence lock that flips your future without a single affirmation. This is not just an opening line. It's a disruption. Because for too long, people have been taught to hunt for signals outside of themselves, waiting for feathers, numbers, or sudden flashes of meaning to prove they're on the right track. But chasing keeps you small. It keeps you in the position of seeker, not transmitter. Tonight, you step into the opposite role. Not the one who waits for life to speak, but the one who becomes the language reality responds to. Think about it every single day you are broadcasting, not with slogans, not with scripted affirmations, but with the hidden consistency or inconsistency of your inner state. That's the station you're tuned to, and the universe. It responds to the station, not the noise. When your mind says one thing, your feelings argue another, and your body resists both. You emit static. Life answers with the same static. Delays, half-open doors, confusing crossroads. But when the mind, the heart, and the body stop pulling in different directions, when they hum the same rhythm, something changes. The external world starts arranging itself with uncanny clarity. This is the essence of becoming the sign. You stop begging for proof that you are on the path. You are the proof. You stop asking for. There is a quiet authority in this state, not loud, not forced, not desperate, just undeniable stability. People feel it when you walk into a room. Situations bend toward it. Opportunities recognize it, almost like a person finally hearing their name in a crowded place. And here is the deeper truth. Coherence is credible in a world where so many signals are scattered. The one who aligns fully stands out. The one who stops contradicting themselves in thought, in feeling, in posture, begins to move differently. No chasing, no superstition, just clean integrity that radiates without the need to prove. So if you've been wondering why doors have been slow to open, maybe the problem was never the door. Maybe it was the split inside you. Tonight, you end the split. Tonight, you understand you were never meant to chase signs. You were designed to become one. A living cue, a signal so clear that the next chapter can't help but unfold. Most people don't realize it, but the world doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you are. Your frequency is the hidden broadcast, the unspoken language shaping how reality arranges itself around you. Think of someone who says, "I'm confident," but every gesture, every glance, every hesitation leaks fear. The words fall flat because the broadcast underneath tells a different story. Or someone who insists, "I'm abundant," while tightening their body every time money leaves their hands. The field does not hear the phrase, it hears the contraction. This is why chasing signs, repeating lines, or forcing affirmations often collapses into frustration. The surface words are one frequency, but the inner state hums another. And reality always tunes to the deeper one, the silent one, the one you can't fake. No, imagine the opposite. A person who says nothing, yet their presence shifts the air in a room. They don't need to declare alignment because you feel it in how steady they are. No rush, no scramble, just clean, ordered energy that commands respect without demanding it. That's coherence. That's what it means to become the sign. The field listens to stability, not noise. Not noise disguised as positivity. Stability, alignment. the quiet courage of someone who no longer negotiates with their own truth. When your inner signals stop competing, you stop chasing, because life begins to echo back the frequency you already hold. So tonight, instead of asking, "Where are the signs?" ask a sharper question, "What am I broadcasting?" Because every delay, every opening, every strange synchronicity is not random. It's the mirror of that hidden broadcast. And once you learn to own it, once you learn to stabilize it, you no longer wait for proof. You become the proof. Every human being carries two broadcasts. One is loud, polished, spoken, the story you tell yourself and others about who you are, what you want, and where you're going. The other is quiet, hidden beneath words, revealed in the subtle patterns of your emotions, your breath, your body's posture, your smallest reactions. When these two signals oppose each other, life feels heavy, you say. "I believe, but underneath, doubt whispers." You declare, "I'm ready," but deep down, fear tightens its grip. You promise yourself change, but your nervous system clings to the old. This is the split, the fracture that drains your energy more than any obstacle outside of you. You felt it, the exhaustion that comes not from action, but from contradiction, the endless tug of war between the version you dream about and the version you keep rehearsing. This is why so many chase signs. They're desperate for something outside to prove that the inner war has ended. But chasing never closes the gap. It only stretches it wider. Now, here's the revelation. Reality is not punishing you for this split. It's only reflecting it. Every delay, every almost, every missed chance is not a curse. It's feedback. The mirror is telling you your station isn't clear yet, and that's why doors hesitate to open. But the moment you end the split, the moment your words, your feelings, and your inner rhythm stop contradicting each other, the broadcast shifts. Suddenly, the field has no choice but to echo back the new signal. You don't need to chase proof anymore, because proof begins chasing you. Coherence is not about perfection. It's about integration, about pulling back the scattered parts of yourself and telling them, "Enough. Tonight, we move as one." There is a point, rare, unforgettable, when the noise inside finally collapses. The arguments between head and heart fall silent. The fears stop shouting, the doubts stop pacing, for a breath, for a moment, and in that silence, something new appears. Clarity so sharp it feels like a doorway opening where a wall once stood. This is coherence. Not a theory, not a technique, but a lived state where the body stops fighting itself, where your inner broadcast no longer flickers between channels. It's like static vanishing from a radio and a clear signal cutting through. Steady, undeniable, undeniable. And here's the secret most people never hear. Once you taste that moment, you can't go back to chasing, because you realize the signs you once begged for were never late. They were only waiting for you to stop contradicting yourself. Think of it this way. Life is not blind, it's responsive. But it doesn't respond to declarations. It responds to the stability behind them. The world doesn't move for noise. It moves for order, for the rhythm of a mind and a heart that beat together instead of against each other. That's why the greatest shift is not about adding more affirmations, more effort, more struggle. The shift comes when the scattered parts of you fall into one rhythm. When the chaos stops leaking into the signal, when the noise stops, and only the true broadcast remains. And in that instant, You don't chase signs anymore. You become one, a living signal, a proof that the field can't ignore. The moment inner noise falls silent, the external world begins to shift. Not dramatically at first, but subtly. Like a room adjusting its lighting, like unseen gears beginning to turn. A call arrives sooner than expected. A conversation flows easier than before. An obstacle that once felt immovable suddenly gives way with no resistance. This is not coincidence. This is coherence reorganizing probability. When your signal stabilizes, reality stops hesitating. It bends toward your frequency the way a compass needle bends toward the magnetic north without shouting, without forcing, without struggle. People often think manifestation means demanding reality to change. But coherence reveals the opposite. Reality is already listening. It's always listening. The real question is, what has it been hearing from you? Chaotic signals create chaotic outcomes. Ordered signals create ordered outcomes. The field does not argue, it mirrors. And here's the astonishing part. Coherence doesn't just alter how life feels. It alters what life offers. A stable broadcast doesn't attract random events. It organizes them, like iron filings snapping into place around a magnet. The scattered pieces of your life begin to form a picture that once seemed impossible. So when you look back at the delays, the closed doors, the endless detours, understand this: reality wasn't against you. It was waiting for the signal to steady, waiting for the scattered notes to become music, waiting for you to stop chasing signs, and finally become one. So many people exhaust themselves chasing outcomes with sheer effort. They run harder, push louder, repeat phrases, and convince themselves that more struggle equals more progress. But here is the hard truth: effort without alignment is friction. It burns energy, but it doesn't open doors. You've seen this before. Someone works day and night, but everything feels stuck. They pour strength into their goals, yet results crawl like molasses. Not because they lack discipline, but because their broadcast is split. Their mind says go, their body says stop, their emotions whisper fear. The field doesn't hear the hours they worked. It hears the contradiction they carry. No, picture the opposite. A person who doesn't push harder than anyone else. Yet, doors open quickly. Opportunities seem magnetized to them. Their timing is sharp. Their encounters precise. Their path almost effortless. This is not luck. This is coherence. Their signal is clear. Their effort multiplies instead of every action lands because the field is no longer confused about what they are asking for. That is the power effort can never replace: inner consistency. A stable frequency cuts through where force cannot. It is not about doing more. It is about being aligned so that what you do counts. A single step in coherence can outweigh 1,000 steps in contradiction. And this is why the chase for signs never works. Signs do not respond to desperation, they respond to stability. Life bends for the one who stops arguing with themselves because the field recognizes a clear signal. There is a kind of power that doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need to shout or prove or convince. You've seen it before. A person enters the room, and without a single word, everyone notices. Not because of how they look, but because of what they emit. Their presence is ordered. Their energy is whole. They have become the proof. This is the secret most people miss. You don't persuade the world by declaring who you are, you persuade it by embodying who you are. The frequency speaks louder than the sentence. The signal speaks louder than the speech. Think of the opposite. Someone talks endlessly about their vision, their confidence, their goals, but their energy trembles underneath. You feel the mismatch, and so does reality. The words collapse because the broadcast is unstable. But when coherence locks in, when your inner state stops contradicting itself, you don't need to convince. You radiate proof. You become the very sign others are searching for. You turn into a living example that stability is possible, that alignment has weight, that clarity has presence. And here's the paradox. Once you become the proof, signs chase you. The world begins to rearrange in ways you couldn't have scripted. People show up at the right time. Doors that were rusted shut swing open, paths appear where walls once stood. This doesn't happen because you begged for validation. It happens because your broadcast left no room for confusion. You are not chasing signs anymore. You are walking as one. Coherence is not private. It doesn't stay hidden inside your chest. It radiates. The heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field of the human body. And when that rhythm stabilizes, it doesn't just calm you. It changes the atmosphere around you. You've felt this before. Walking into a room where tension was so thick, you could almost touch it. Nobody had to say a word. The frequency was already telling the story, or the opposite. Sitting near someone who was so steady, so clear, that your own nervous system began to settle without effort. This is coherence extending beyond the individual. And here lies the quiet truth. When you become the sign, you don't only shift your own reality, you shift the reality of those around you. People breathe easier in your presence. Decisions become clearer simply because your signal is clear. You're no longer leaking confusion into the space. You're transmitting order. This is why leaders who radiate stability create trust without speeches, why healers calm without words, why mothers, when steady, can calm a crying child with a single heartbeat against their chest. The field carries further than logic ever could. So ask yourself, what are people feeling when they stand near you? Chaos, hesitation, or stability that silently reorganizes the space? Because coherence is not selfish. It's contagious. And the moment you choose to align, you stop being a seeker of signs and start becoming a living signpost. Most people wait for life to calm down before they choose alignment. They think, when things settle, then I'll find my balance. But coherence doesn't work that way. Coherence isn't born in peace, it creates peace. It doesn't wait for chaos to disappear. It gathers chaos and arranges it into order. Imagine an orchestra before rehearsal. Every instrument warms up on its own, creating noise that makes no sense. But when the conductor raises a hand and the players align to the same rhythm, what once sounded like confusion becomes music. The noise didn't vanish, it was tuned. Your life is the same. The bills, the deadlines, the arguments, the uncertainty. They may not dissolve overnight. But when your inner state stops scattering, you begin to experience the same world differently. What felt like a storm reveals a hidden pattern. What looked like a wall becomes a doorway. What once drowned you begins to move in rhythm with you. This is the hidden power of coherence. It does not demand a perfect world. It builds harmony within an imperfect world. And from that harmony, the imperfect begins to shift. The obstacles reorganize. The storms lose their teeth. So, if you've been waiting for the world to stop being chaotic before you align, you've misunderstood your power. Coherence was never meant to be a response to peace. It was meant to be the cause of it. You don't escape chaos. You bring order into it. And in doing so, you prove that you are no longer chasing signs. You are walking as one. Every moment you live carries a choice, not just of action, but of frequency. And that choice is heavier than most realize. Because what you hold inside doesn't just shape how you feel today. It shapes which timeline you walk into tomorrow. Think of reality as a field of possibilities. Countless versions of your future exist, suspended like which one solidifies depends on the signal you sustain. Most people don't see this. They think the future is a straight line, already drawn. So they move on autopilot, repeating the same inner noise, stepping into the same outcomes. But coherence changes the game. When your broadcast stabilizes, the field stops scattering. Probabilities reorganize. Certain paths gain strength, while others fade away. And suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes the most natural next step. Not because you forced it, but because your alignment pulled that timeline closer. This is why some people live as if luck follows them. Not because chance favors them, but because coherence tilts. Their signal is consistent, so their path is consistent. Life bends toward stability. Here's the shocking part. You've already been shaping timelines all along. Every doubt you rehearsed, every fear you nurtured, every contradiction you carried. These broadcasts were not neutral. They were votes for one version of reality over another. The difference is tonight you choose consciously. Tonight you stop leaking your power into scattered futures and claim the one that responds to order. You're not just creating a mood. You're engineering a timeline. And once you understand that, you'll never look at your thoughts and emotions as private again. They are the blueprint of your next scene. Shall I keep flowing into part 11, where we explore how coherence turns you into a living magnet for synchronicities and shortcuts. When coherence locks in, life stops dragging its feet. Synchronicities multiply, paths unfold faster. People appear at the exact moment you need them. To an outsider, it looks like coincidence. To you, it feels like confirmation. The field responding to your broadcast with precision. This is not magic. It is not luck. It is alignment made visible. The moment you stop chasing signs and become one, reality bends to meet you. Not because you demanded it, but because your signal left no room for confusion. And here's the final truth. The world has always been listening. It was never ignoring you. It was only waiting for a steady frequency tonight. You know you can become that frequency. You can be the sign you once searched for. So I leave you with this. Choose coherence. Choose alignment. Choose to walk as proof instead of begging for proof. Because every breath you hold in stability, every moment you refuse to contradict yourself, is a seed planted in the quantum field, a seed that grows into doors, paths, and futures you once thought were out of reach. If this message resonated with you, take one step further. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear that they are not powerless. They are a broadcast. And in the comments, write these words, I choose to become the sign. Not as decoration, as declaration, as an anchor that reminds you, Reality does not reward the chase. Subscribe and stay with us in this space. Because here, we are not chasing signs, we are becoming them together.